For the first video for 1.1, we're mainly just going to talk about parent functions, okay? Parent functions are the most basic function in a function family. So if we come down here, and we're going to move around a little bit in these notes as I do each video. We're going to talk about the parent functions. I want it to be able to give you a graph, and I want you to be able to tell me which function family it belongs to. So the families we're going to cover in chapter 1 are constant, linear, absolute value, and quadratic. All of their graphs have very similar, like in that family, will be very similar in their characteristics. So if you can know which function family just by looking at it, if it is curved, looks like a U, then you know it's quadratic. If it looks like a V, which means it's pointy right here, it's absolute value. Linear is a straight line, and constant looks linear, except there's no x value in the equation. Now, for all of these equations where you see this f of x, you can replace that with a y. Y equals 1. Y equals x, y equals absolute value of x, and y equals x squared, okay? Those are the same thing. We just list functions a lot using f of x. It's the function of x. And so for constant, it will be a horizontal line. It's always a y equals, which means y always equals that number, so it makes that horizontal line. So anytime you see a horizontal graph, you should be able to tell me its parent function is constant. Linear, straight line. Now, its parent function has a slope of 1 and a y-intercept of 0. Okay, so it rises 1, goes right 1, and will go through the point 0, 0. But any line that you see that has any slope and any y-intercept, those are in the linear family function, or linear family. Absolute value. Its parent function, again, goes through 0, 0, has this, and it goes right from 0, 0, goes up 1, right 1. It also goes up 1, left 1, and those graphs go accordingly both directions. Because remember, absolute value is a distance from 0, so it is always a positive number, so that's why y is always positive, because even if x is negative, inside those absolute value bars, anything inside, you make positive. So that's why it V's up the way it does. And then quadratic looks like this U. So for any number of x, I'm going to plug in 1. 1 squared is 1. So I have a point at 1, 1. Well, negative 1 squared is also 1. So it goes up like this. 2 squared is 4. Okay. Its parent function goes through 0, 0. Okay. Has a multiplier, or where you're used to seeing slope, okay, of 1. So then I'm going to jump and I'm going to look at the examples 1 through 3. And this is just identifying function families, okay? You just have to identify the function family to which it belongs and compare it to its parent function. So the parent functions I just showed, well, we look at number 1. It is not a constant, because constant and linear are both straight lines. So it's not a constant because it's not just f of x equals a number. It actually has a slope and a y-intercept, so I know this has to be linear. Number 2, however, it's a straight line, so it's either going to be a constant or linear, but this is always negative 3, so f of x equals negative 3, so this is a constant. It's horizontal. And number 3 is a V. It actually is a pointed connection right there. It is not a U shape where it's curvy, so I know this is absolute value. Remember, if it was curved, it would be quadratic. So now, after these notes right now, you can go to the practice and do problems 1, 3, 5, and 6, and move on to the next part of the lesson.